And hello, and welcome back to Poe's Bucky End of Lloyd's round. Hitting a few of those now, which is interesting. One thing I did give some thought to going out of the last route, like the fact that I did not hit the turn count for that one RP bonus, and I had a thought. How much of being able to do those is sort of dependent and balanced around the idea that you can go grind in the Reverie corridor with Reen and Lloyd, and balanced around the idea that you have. It might not be. I assume it seems likely that it would be, just based around the idea of how you design a game. But at the same time, thinking about that in the consideration, because I was sort of having the urge to go back and be like, yeah, maybe I'll go back and retry that. And then I thought, oh, you know what? It's probably balanced around that. And then my next thought was, you know what? No thank you. Especially because there was a battle before it, too. So, yeah, I don't care. I don't have that much of a completionist urge to me. Especially in this, where there's so many miscellaneous stuff. I want to see all the content. If there's like some secret scene or something that I'm going to miss because I'm not getting all the RP, I think I'm happy enough to just like go look it up online after the fact, really. I don't think... have they done that before? I don't think they've done that before. Where like RP was like straight up a way to like lock content. I think it's entirely been like pure gameplay bonus stuff. And completionist bonus stuff, basically. If the game gives me an option to retry a battle a few times, in this case, it didn't. I guess I could have lost the battle and hit retry. I guess I could have done that. Maybe I'll do that in the future. I could have purposely lost the battle. Part of the reason I went to the end because I was curious if it would give me a retry option. Maybe I'll do that in the future. Because I'm way more, for those challenges, I don't care about going back and grinding. I don't care about going back and trying to get people up to higher levels via all that. I have no care for that concept at all. I do sort of like the idea of going back and just trying to execute better if I feel like I'm getting close. If I can just retry the battle, like I did with the stuff on Reen's route, I'm all for that. I am perfectly okay with approaching it in that way. But otherwise, I'm not enough of a completionist to actually feel obligated to go do it. So, yeah. Either way, can't do Reverie Corridor. I was hoping to do that in between routes, but I guess we'll go as far in Rufus's route as we can. So, let's go. Act 3, we have begun. Yeah, I saw that 9 volley before. Oh, Jingo, be a party member in this route. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. We need more than 4 at some point. Oh, that little mission. I sort of love all that.
You were quite punctual.
You bet.
Oh, this is what she was like planning on at like that time when we walked in. Are they going to flag that I walked in and talked to Cerberus and them?
Sup, and welcome aboard the Argo, the vessel of Nine Valley's new high-speed transport service.
Our pilot is a child.
Yeah, you're one to talk.
We might have been better off on the ground.
I'll have you know that I'm a licensed pilot. And that's real rich coming from you guys. You look like a bunch of kids about to go on a picnic with their daddy to me.
Ooh, we got burned.
Phew. But boy, did I not see your daddy's ID coming. Who knew my mystery client would turn out to be our former Governor General, Rufus Albarea? Oops. What, do you prefer Supreme Leader now?
So it's a different Rufus, as he said before.
Please, if I knew I'd be repeating myself so soon, I would have gathered my audience. That title is not mine.
But then...
I'm confused. Who's Rufus? That's this guy's real name. C was a nickname. So it's Rufus, huh?
Oh, she's gonna rate it.
I think it's much cuter than C. I give it 85 points.
Oh no, it's not cuter than Swin. Swin has like that nice, like simple one-syllable sort of cuteness element to it, where it's like just Swin, Swin, Swin. Oh, you are wrong, Lapis.
Ooh, he kicked your butt, S.
Why would I care when I don't even get what criteria she's basing these on?
So are you famous then, Rufus? Everyone seems to know who you are. He's not just famous, he's super famous. He's the elder son of House Alberea, one of the 4 great houses of Erebonia, and he became Crossbell's first Governor General. Together with the Empire's Chancellor and Crown Prince, he led the country to all-out war. But then he got arrested after it ended. That's all the big common knowledge stuff, but trust me, I know all about the skeletons in his closet. Wow, you're so smart, Nadia.
Is knowing part of handling the unpleasant side of things?
Wow, you're so smart, Rufus.
Can she try not to stir up trouble with him?
Yeah, well, apparently he's not done making a name for himself. Because 3 days ago, he busted himself out of jail so he could lead a load of black-clad soldiers into Crossbell and occupy it again. Then he declared himself the new supreme leader and claimed he was carrying on the late Chancellor Osborne's will. And you're saying that wasn't you? Yeah, hang on. You were in Crossbell yesterday and at noon today making statements. Oh, okay. So we have official public stuff that, okay. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some methodology of, camouflage that can make you look like someone else. That wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility, but with all the talk about people feeling like not who they really are supposed to be, I feel like that probably ties more into it. When do you have time to go to Heimdall? He couldn't have been at this Crossbell like you said. He's been with us the entirety of today and yesterday. Then that means... So there are 2 Rufus Albereas, or more alike. One of you's a fraud? So it seems. I've no interest in making a public show of him being one, mind you. But I am the genuine Rufus Alberea. On that, you have my word. I guess I believe you. Even if Crossbell mistakes the other guy for the real deal, your brother'd be able to tell the difference. Can't say I even care. I'm just in it for the Mira. Speaking of, I thought the Erebonian government seized all your assets. How are you going to pay your fare? I've long kept my assets spread out in the event of something like this were to happen. What the government sees is a mere fraction of what I own. You really do prepare for anything, huh? Oh, I was worried we were duped into doing some charity work for a second. Well, we've come this far. I think it's about time you started filling in the blanks. About what exactly? You? We don't plan to call things off just because we know who you are now. But you've got to admit that you're not an average guy. And that means being around you is a huge risk on our part. I think you owe us a more thorough explanation on what you were up to before we met and what you're after now. It's the least you can do if we're going to keep working together. Very well. I'd intended to do as much from the very beginning anyway. You'll have to understand the full scale of our situation before we advance to the next stage. Rufus' tone remained flat as he recounted the recent events. It began late at night on March 14th when Auric's fort in the Croydon province fell under attack. What was today? There was something, like, at the very beginning of this that set a date. I don't know if it... Nope. Never mind. Does not have that log there. This was the work of the Ebon Defense Force, who were there to aid the Crossbell division of the Imperial Defense Force in their escape. Upon bringing the IDF from their underground cells, they continued on to another cell in that same fort, Rufus Alberea's. Yet their aim was not to free their former leader, but to assassinate him. Rufus definitely turned the tables against them, while also managing to extract a wealth of information, even if their knowledge lacked the finer details. he learned that they had abducted Prince Olivert and would be executing a major operation in less than 24 hours. He also learned of a small suitcase that the EDF wished to find with great urgency. Sensing trouble brewing in the wake of Crossbell's liberation, Rufus then resolved to escape to better assess the situation at hand. So they wanted to assassinate him so there wasn't a second one going around, I assume. They are like literally replacing him. The next day, March 15th, was no less eventful. An imposter using Rufus's name and face as his own stormed Crossbell signing ceremony and declared it occupied once more. This information, paired to the intelligence gathered to suggest a further trouble brewing at Heimdall, helped the real Rufus ascertain his next objective. He issued a statement claiming to be the prince's abductor to lure Class 7 to the Imperial capital. And following that, he set his sights on Oryx Canyon to take this enigmatic case to the EDF were so desperately seeking. Which then brought us to... You know the rest, of course. Wow. You've been a busy boy, huh? Well, I'd been cooped up in a cell for half a year. I had plenty of pent-up energy, eager to be spent. To continue, it's clear that the actions of the EDF and my spurious self were planned to the letter. I imagine the multitude of events these past months have been part of their own grand scheme, not just the recent attack on the city. The post-war occupation and the occupiers electing to ignore my calls to surrender. And even the city's liberation a month ago. If this fake Rufus is pulling the strings here, you being around's only gonna be one big headache for him. It's an interesting thought, at the very least. Obviously, clearly, yeah, they've been planning this for a while. And we know that there's a lot of Ouroboros fingers being laid here. Like, fingers being put in the pie here. Wait, what's the right... I don't know. Whatever. Words. And they also clearly have some control, even if minor, on whatever that, like... They're not calling it the curse, so I don't think it's the curse. It's something with a similar conceptual effect, even if it's, like, distinct enough for the characters in universe to not treat it as the same thing. And there's a mention of experimentation in Crossbell too. I don't know. My first instinct here, between like the previous speculation I had and whatnot, is that it's like literally a Rufus from just like another plane universe of existence that they brought in, maybe? And then my guess would be that effect isn't the curse, but like the influence of another like universes merging, maybe? That would be like my first instincts here, solely based on all that episode I spent like speculating and like the sort of like that sort of elements of it, and the fact that there's literally two of them. That I don't feel like I'd bet on that though. That feels like a stretch, and it feels like it's more likely that they might be using like an artifact to impersonate him. And the other stuff is like as simple as like they're behaving weirdly, which could mean a lot of things. Their perceptions are being altered, their memories are being messed with. There's a lot of ways you can make someone behave differently than they should, right? And in this case, Rufus is not an example of that, so maybe that's literally like disproving that like alternative like universe versions of people. Either way, moving forward, I think it's possible you being locked up in the same place as the IDF was intentional. I would assume so. Everything about it right down to my assassination attempt. And that in itself was just a small part of something much greater. Then what are you planning to do about it? Sound like you've got a pretty good idea of what you're up against. So what does the Rio Rufus want? I have 2 goals. The first is to eliminate the imposter who seeks to use my name for ill. Makes sense if it means them being around, equals people trying to kill you. The second is to settle a past debt. Oh? Crossbell's current status traces its origins to the war that ended not too long ago. I, the primary member of the Ironbloods, was one of 2 who led the charge in that war, the other being the very man who I revered as a father, the late Chancellor. Having made this mess, it falls to me to clean it up. The Ironbloods are an awful loyal bunch. I also feel a certain degree of responsibility towards Crossbell as its former Governor General. Let me see if I've got my head around this. In short, you want to rectify Crossbell's situation and fix whatever's going on in Erebonia. Which totally couldn't be done if you were, like, working with Reen and Lloyd and all of them. You gotta do it from the shadows. Gotta run away and not involve yourself. That sum it up, right? That would be the end result, yes. You know that's a lot to expect 4 people to pull off. That's why I never specified it being us to achieve that end result. There's no reason it has to be us who face our enemies. Confronting evil and overcoming it with hearts and willpower is best suited to heroes, not villains like myself. Like Reen and his friends, whom we fought earlier, and their SSS counterparts in Crossbell. No need to imitate what they have perfected. Works for me. Doesn't feel like our style anyways. What we can do is learn the truth behind these myriad occurrences in our own way. And we can start with the very valuable clue we happen to have in our possession. What is it? Why are you staring at me? You're just so cute that we can't help ourselves. Really? Oh, I see. That makes perfect sense. To be admired is the destiny of a masterpiece. Gaze upon me to your heart's content. It's hard for me to picture a doll being the key to unraveling all that's going on. Well, if I tie it into my previous theory about multiple universes and, like, coming together, maybe the reason she's, like, sentient is that she's a combination of something from outside our world coming in and basically fusing with it. Maybe she's the key to, like, the phenomenon, the original origination of the phenomenon that they're exploiting now. It's weird, yeah. And her not remembering anything makes it much harder. Got any plans for tackling that one, boss? I just so happen to have a question for you, too, regarding that very issue. Jorg Rosenberg was her, or was it George? I don't remember. Was her manufacturer and the man who requested she be delivered to me, right? Well, technically, yeah. Now that Wickenheim is done, I was hoping to visit him in person. But your hesitant response tells me that may not be possible. Has something befallen him? Nope, he's fine. It just not much would be gained by going to see him. He's the one who gave us a job, but he specified that he was just an intermediary. My guess is that whoever had him give us the job's also the one who got him to make her. Which also, let's establish this. Whoever got him to do the job, to make her, to do all that, also would be the person who possibly knows that Rufus was out there acting as C. At a point, I'm gonna say, given the, I guess it depends on exact timing, but he didn't use the name for that long. He used the name basically as an excuse to get Class 7's attention and draw them to the capital so Class 7 could undermine their plot in the capital, right? That's the only reason he used that name. And presumably he wasn't going by that name previously. He only used it in that specific video, and then went by it in interacting with them. So it's weird that they had that name to give to someone in the first place, right? So someone had to be distinctly aware of that. Rosenberg had a lot of connections to Ouroboros and Crossbell, But I also think I vaguely remember him cutting himself off from Ouroboros during the events of that. It's been a while. I do vaguely remember him being connected, but then not connected later. Mainly because he didn't seem to know much more than we do right now. I see. Then our only choice is to aid her in recovering her memories after all. I assume you don't know where you were originally crafted. I wish I did, but I'm afraid not. I got a place we can start at least. George didn't deliver the case to us. He said to pick it up from the Moon Temple. He must have hidden it there before hightailing it out of Crossbell. It'd be safe bet to say that she was made there or close to there. Almost certainly the Rosenberg studio on the Maine's mountain path then. Sounds about right. We passed on the way to the temple, but we didn't go inside. Wise decision. If the Meister hid the case elsewhere, then the studio has been compromised in some manner, I'm sure. We still do not know if her memory loss was unintended or deliberate, which again implies that with Ouroboros becoming active in Crossbell again, that presumably the reason he hightailed it out of there is because Ouroboros was about to take power again, and he'd be an enemy I'm sure they'd want to get rid of. The fact that they're aware of it too and want to track down the case, the EBF, probably implies that, yeah, it's being made specifically against their wishes. Which means whoever... Oh, they... I say, like, maybe the person who... Maybe they made it. Or had him made it. But then, like, he, like, went against them. It's like, nope, deliver it to someone else. But no, then that would require him to understand who C is and have that knowledge. Which I guess Ouroboros connections, maybe. That would be enough. But... It could also... I think it is a better, probably, conclusion to go with that the idea that whoever requested it and whoever gave the idea that it needs to be provided to a, quote, C, end quote, was probably also someone outside of the Ouroboros circle. Or at the very least, someone outside the Ouroboros circle that's doing the stuff in Crossbell. They all work on their own, so who the fuck knows, really. But Danger Unknown is possible that we'll find something to ease her current predicament. So we know where we're going, then. Of course. Our course was always going to lead to Crossbell. The timing's apt. We may as well go now. How are we going to get in when the borders are so well protected? We're not. Well, I have a plan. Though it will require some preparation. I'll need your participation in order for it to work, but the details can wait. For now, rest well, children. I will say, I am sort of happy that he took off the helmet on the basis of I don't need to do that thing again. I don't need to do all the voice modifiers throughout the entire game. I was getting so sleepy while they talked, but I feel wide awake now. Perhaps I'll tour the ship to see where what everyone is up to. Okay. Interesting. Gotcha. And there's the art proper. Very interesting. I will say, I do like his style over the original. Like, the original C was very Darth Vader-esque. He's way more regal. Appropriately. I like his style a bit more. Hey, Lapis. Is she asleep? Sure is. Oh, that's a shame. I wanted to play with her. Sorry to disappoint, but let her rest, okay? She always wants to sleep, so today's been a long, rough one for her. Does she normally sleep a lot? That's an understatement. She spends most of our off days out like a light. She's even fallen asleep in the middle of combat. Has she ever been to a doctor to fix it? Oh, no, she's not sick, just very laid back. It makes life a real pain sometimes, though, let me tell you that. Oh, I'm sure it does. But she's my partner. There's no one else I'd rather depend on when it counts. Besides, I swore to protect her in her brother's place. I intend to honor that for the rest of my life. Are you and her brother different or the same? I'm finding it hard to wrap my mind around the idea of siblings. Let me put it like this. How would you feel if George Rosenberg were to make another doll exactly like you? If it were exactly like me, then they would be perfect. the world would be blessed with more perfect things to admire, and that is a good thing. Well, what if that other doll wasn't as cute, pretty strong, or as emotive as you? What if others called them a failure? There isn't any such thing as a Rosenberg that's also a failure. But if by some chance that were to happen, I'd be very annoyed to hear others speaking of them that way. Then there you go. That's how siblings are. Wait, which one's the failure? Do you think Rufus would be annoyed if he heard something like that about his brother? That's who that boy we saw before is, right? It's me. I don't know the first thing about what goes on in that guy's head. So it's a mystery. Yep. Anyway, you should try and get some rest while we have the chance. Assuming dolls need rest anyway. Okay, thank you, Swin. Interesting. What's up? I thought you'd be asleep by now. Oh, it's been like 5 seconds. Well, you're not even. I'm not tired yet. Say, why don't you give me a neat bedtime story? Like what? You're kind of putting me on the spot. Okay then, why don't you tell me about your swords then? They're neat enough. I like the way you can take them apart and put them back together. Yeah, they've got a pretty unique mechanic to them. When they're apart, I mark my targets to hit him dead on without a problem. Then I put them together so I can really lay into them for a ton of damage. They're more like special ordnance than weapons if you want to really be nitpicky about it. Sounds a little too complicated for me, but yeah, sure look amazing when you use them. Oh hey, look, that thing from the book that I was like, oh that feels like they're setting up a game mechanic, ends up being a game mechanic.
I wonder what it's like to have a sibling. Do I have any out there?
I guess it would depend on what you consider a sibling in your unique situation. Well, if it isn't my littlest customer, you want something? I just felt the urge to tour the ship, and you're hardly big. I'm still bigger than you. And come to think of it, I haven't introduced myself to you now, have I? The name's Jingo. If there's anything you want your hands on, just give me a holler. I'm Lapis. Nice to meet you, Lapis. By the way, you're not human, right? Indeed, I am not. I'm a proud Rosenberg doll. Really? World's full of surprises. You don't look surprised to me. Well, when you're in my line of work, you meet all kinds of folks. You're not the first unusual customer I've had. I'm not. Your job sounds very interesting. You know what else would be interesting? Mods. Could I interest you in a Gatling gun for an arm, or an eye that'll let you shoot lasers out of them? I'll give you a pretty discount. You can do all that. It'd be worth a shot. I agree that would be interesting, but none of it sounds as beautiful as my current design, so I'll kindly pass. No big. If you change your mind, you know where I am. I certainly do. Right in front of me. Talking. Anyway, it's about time for Cerberus's lessons. Cerberus. Woof. What's his lesson about? Being the strongest guard dog around. Who's the strongest guard dog ever? Who's the strongest guard dog ever? Well, now I've got to know. What does that take? So far, I've had him help with cleaning and run my shop, but today he's getting pointers on flying this baby. He's got to be able to navigate anything life throws at him, and that includes a steering wheel. Oh my, I love Cerberus. Cerberus might be, like, legitimately up there as one of my just straight-up favorite characters in this entire goddamn series. Okay, then. First, I need to plop yourself on top of my seat. Wait, is this gonna work? Well, I guess as long as your front paws can reach the wheel, it's all good. I don't think you'd be able to see. You can do this, Cerberus. Good boy. Oh, hang on a minute. I wasn't going to butt in at first, but I can't keep my mouth shut after what I just heard. Oh yeah? What's that? Maybe this whole idea of trying to teach your dog to fly this airship. Still not hearing what the problem is. How's he supposed to learn if he doesn't take the wheel? All of that is the problem. You're trying to make a dog transcend the limit of canine species. Come on, now you're just exaggerating. But you're welcome to tune in on his lesson if you want. What part of what I said makes you think... just had a dream where the whole airship fell out of the sky. Where are you, S? Comfort me! Anyway, we're paying for this flight, so if you want to attempt the impossible, do it on your own time. We'd like to live for the landing, if you please. Oh, fine. You're one tough customer. And then Jingo goes back. We're gonna do it anyways.
Cerberus is so cute! I hope I can pet him later on.
You could pet him now. I'm sorry, what was that? You're trying to say that I'm adorable, aren't you? Well, of course I am. I'm a Rosenberg doll. But don't worry, you're adorable too. Yay, we're all cute. I mean, I guess my thought process on, like, driving the airship, it's not like she can see, either. She probably sees a little bit more than Cerberus would be able to see. What's up? You changed your mind about the body mod? Not exactly, I was curious. How much could you upgrade, if I really asked you to? I can't say without getting my hands dirty, but I bet if you really wanted to, we could probably get all your parts swapped out. Guessing we have to call in a specialist, though, on account of how, obviously, well, special you are. Oh, I see. Thanks, I guess. What brought this on, anyway? Well, I was thinking earlier. If I exchanged my parts, would I still be me afterwards? Yeah, that whole thing. Oh, don't be silly. It'd take a lot more than changing out some nuts and bolts for you to turn into someone different. What if we took out a lot of parts? What if I asked you to replace everything and there wasn't a single piece of me left from before? Well, it certainly depends on where the element of your consciousness and all that comes from. Could you still say that I'm the same person then? That I'm still Lapis Rosenberg? You're asking some pretty big head scratchers, Dolly. You got the wrong gal for that kind of philosophical conversation. Well, let me ask you this, though. At the end of the day, does it really matter? I don't know. That's what I want to figure out. Fair point. I work my fair share of colorful characters, but I didn't want to add back enough rivers on my ram. Not I'm complaining. Pays good, and if nothing else, it'll make for some crazy story once all said and done. True that. True that. Ooh, multiple.
I'm afraid this side of the deck is occupied. You'll have to sleep elsewhere.
Are you sleeping out on the deck? I hope we don't do a barrel roll.
I wasn't planning to sleep out here.
Well, at the very least, I hope there's seat belts.
Oh? Then what's brought you outside?
I wanted to go stargazing. What about you?
I wanted to take in the night air.
Since we're both here, there's something I'd like to ask.
What is it?
I know that you're a famous man, but are you a good man or a bad man?
Bad, though that would be putting it mildly.
So very bad?
Very, very bad. I have used anything and everything to advance my interests, be it titles, fame, or even those pure of heart. There is little point in feigning a moral compass when human lives hold no value to me, or acting chivalrous when all that does is hinder me.
I guess there is something worth noting that you are currently doing stuff in favor of, like, helping other people. So, I don't know. Rufus is always an interesting character in that, like, it feels like he's defined by his insecurity, basically, most of the time. Which, like any character, when you're like that, if you can get past that, if you can grow, there's a lot of potential there, right?
Do you still feel that way?
I do. I'm using you, Swin, and Nadia to bring my designs to fruition, am I not? I'm also using those we met in the capital, like my brother.
None of that sounds like something someone good would do, yes. You really are a very bad man.
I'm glad we could come to an understanding. So, armed with that knowledge, what do you intend to do?
Am I supposed to do something?
I suppose a doll has no reason to care if a human is good or evil.
Being a doll has nothing to do with it. But were you hoping I would admonish you? Or perhaps comfort you?
Of course not.
Okay, then I still intend to do nothing. Whether I praise you for your deeds as a hero, or chastise you for your misdeeds as a villain, it won't change you at your core. You are who you are.
Just how does humanity look through your lens for you to think in such simple terms?
I don't know. I can't answer that when I'm still learning about what it means to be human. All I can say is, I don't see if you're good or bad, where you're from, or how you were raised. I don't see what you've done or haven't done, what you possess or what you lack, because none of those are what make you exist as a person. So it can't be that you suddenly don't exist just because someone decides to reject those parts of you.
That's quite a philosophical approach to the matter. Or perhaps that objective thinking is the most one of artificial intelligence can fathom.
I don't know. How could I know? Just to me, being is what makes a human a human.
Perhaps you're right.
And so, it's what makes you, you.
Perhaps you're right. I don't remember the exact moment I began to search for meaning in my life.
Right. The insecurity elements. Where, because like his whole thing was that he wanted to be greater than everyone else, right? And that he always was. I'm trying to remember precisely exactly how it went down in Cold Steel 4, like what we learned. But the whole idea was like, oh, I'm really good, and that sort of like became my self-identity and how I like defined myself. And then I ran into the Chancellor and I got owned really hard. So it's like, fuck, okay, that's a level I need to reach if I'm going to really properly embrace what I consider my like self-identity as. And now that he's lost and he feels like he's lost all that like point, all that, I guess as he'd phrase it, meaning, all that sort of been lost because the chance passed him. He defines himself as an evil person because of what he did to try to do that stuff in the past. Because he acknowledges the ramifications of it and he's not like so heartless as to not understand it. He doesn't necessarily regret it. He more regrets that he failed. And he's come to identify that as the elements. It's just who he is, right? No, I think it's very interesting. He's definitely someone that could use some like deep dive characterization, right? And development.
My father elected to raise me as his own son, irrespective of the fact I was born because his wife laid with another man.
Oh, right. I forgot about that detail.
He did so with the same ease he rejected his flesh and blood because he was born from a common woman. When I learned the truth, I finally understood that House Alberea wanted me not as a human being, but as a product of noble blood. It was so hard to bear that it made me sick. Was that all? Was that the only reason I existed? I refused to accept it. I couldn't take it. And as I turned my eyes from this terrible truth, a new, more terrible thought dawned upon me. If that was not the reason I existed, then what was? That was when I met him. It is said we seek that which we do not have. Through him, I sought the Father I never had. I convinced myself that if I did as sons do and became more than he ever was, then I would understand the real reason for my existence. And there it was. At last, I had a goal, something to pursue. I stopped at nothing to make that goal a reality. There was no effort too ambitious, no principle too sacred to violate. But no matter what I did, it still wasn't enough. Everything I had done to secure my victory had led to a resounding, humiliating defeat. A defeat at the hands of my own brother, who, despite his unfortunate upbringing, had grown into someone strong and true. I envied him for that, but perhaps I should have known all along that a mere product could never hope to have a real, genuine purpose. The whole predicament would have been worth a laugh had it not been so deeply painful. Why am I here? What is my reason for being? Who am I?
You are who you are. I don't see what you've done or haven't done, what you possess or what you lack, because none of those are what make you exist as a person. Just to me, being is what makes a human a human.
Such nonsense.
I do feel like it does delve into some of the underlying elements of some of life and humanity's greatest ponderance of questions and whatnot, which ultimately boil down to purpose and, like, how do we make us feel satisfied with us having this life that we have? What purpose do we have? What do we do with this limited time here that makes us feel like it was worth it to try to reduce those regrets, to try to reject those regrets, basically, right? Because we are so innately, evolutionarily tinkered to the point, like, well-equipped to basically understand failure and the idea of how if things go badly, that could be our death and stuff like that. We are so innately tuned into that idea that we sort of will take that very, very intrinsically, fundamentally to our self-identity too, right? I think it's it's always a very interesting thing to get into. Personally, my opinion is that purpose in life is whatever you freaking want. There is nothing here, be it religion, be it government, be it family, be it any of that, legacies, all that sort of stuff, that defines who you are. You are you. Those things help mold who you end up being in the end, but you are you, and the only purpose in life is one that you seek out and satisfies your life for what it is. We only have so much time here, so don't be afraid to go find it, basically. That's my opinion, at least.
I thought you weren't planning to sleep out here. I'm unsure if dolls are capable of catching colds.
They are very capable of falling off a... like, there's a bit of room between that railing and whatnot. She's probably small enough to just slip out.
But I believe you've taken in the stars enough for one night.
Are you all prepared? Ready to go anytime. We're good at this stuff. I don't know what we're preparing for, but I'll give it my best. Our interest will be best served if you say nothing at all. Okay then, I'm gonna make a landing. Woof. The airport. Just straight up the airport. Is he gonna put his mask back on? They're gonna recognize him. Okay, unexpected landing. Or is he going to pretend to be the Supreme Leader? Oh, that could work. Halt, are you authorized to be here? Yeah, okay, that could definitely work. Your Excellency. Okay, so the common soldier isn't aware of, like, the fakeness that is their Supreme Leader. Gotcha. What is the meaning of this? You stand in the presence of our supreme leader. We informed you in advance of our arrival. Why were you not ready and waiting? Our deepest apologies. There's no need to be quite so harsh. These are good men. This airport has been under their jurisdiction for a few days. It takes time to adjust to new responsibilities. You are merciful, Your Excellency. We'll ready a car for you at once. No need. I've arranged for one personally. So remain here and continue your duties. Yes, Your Excellency. Okay, we definitely have a ticking timer on. Okay, I guess Jingo's leaving, so I hope we have a way out. What a bizarre experience. Not everyone will gets to be their own imposter. It's hilarious. Good on you for thinking it up, boss. Well, I wasn't lying about them being good. It won't be long before they learn the truth from their superiors and come after us. We shouldn't remain in the city any longer than is needed. Can't hurt to scope the place out first, though, right? I suppose. I'll have to make a brief tour before continuing on for the Mains Mountain path. Is that the Mines Mountain? It's Mines, because of the pun. I keep forgetting that. But also I'm going to continue calling it Mains. Does part of scoping out mean inspecting all the restaurants? That's going to have to wait until next time. Oh, switched outfit. Okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Alright, I got this stuff from Jingo. What is it? A farewell gift, apparently. She hates me. Wait, a farewell gift? That means she's not gonna... What does she think? Wait, does she think we're off on a picnic or something? What's a picnic? Haha, you are too darn cute, LP. No point looking gift horse in the mouth, though. Let's use it. We'll look like tourists or something. Good for camo. No, that is not a reason to do anything like that ever. That is... Indeed, I'll leave it to use at your discretion. Just try not to stand out too much. Got it. Well, it might be nice to take a breather every now and again. No. Rufus is now in stealth mode. Rufus is move about the city in stealth mode due to Ramen's functionality. Note that when Rufus is the party leader in town, he cannot be seen by others or use shops. Oh, that's interesting. It's very interesting.